my great honor and pleasure to introduce the next governor of Massachusetts, Tom Berwick.
Thanks so much. Thanks, Austin, for your leadership here and that introduction. I want to thank Les and Congressman Steele for being here. It wasn't easy for either of them to be here. Congressman Steele especially drove 3 hours from Essex, Connecticut to be here this evening. And I want to shout out to you all here. The way out of the mess our country's in is with an informed public, people willing to think about the issues that face them and really study them and get to the right answers, and we have a right answer here. Casinos will be bad for Massachusetts, and we need to stop them. That's been my position for over a year. It was based on my reading of the evidence. I'm the only candidate for governor who unequivocally holds that view. I think the casino repeal initiative is actually bigger than the casino issue. This is truly democracy at work. It's mobilization. It's people speaking truth to power, the kind of power that Les and Bob were talking about. They're not quaking in the face of big money, but they're taking on the big money, and the people are going to win. That I think that the spirit, the courage, the intelligence that can overcome the big money casino lobby can be a resource over and over again for building the society that we want. We can use that spirit to ensure that hardworking people can earn incomes that are sufficient for them to take care of their families, that we educate our children in a 21st century world, regardless of where they live or how much their parents earn. We can use that spirit to reform health care, to achieve Medicare for all in this state. We can use it to end hunger and homelessness and poverty. And we can use that spirit to affirm the values that will make Massachusetts the beacon we need to be. Social justice, equality, and compassion is fundamental to public and private life. Back to casinos. We do not have to guess what casinos are going to do to Massachusetts. You've heard that. We can predict with near certainty what will happen here because over 30 other states have paid the price already. Here's what casinos are going to do to Massachusetts, as you've heard. They will hurt small businesses. Take a look at the devastation on Main Street in Niagara Falls, New York, if you doubt that. Businesses shuttered and closed. They're going to decrease economic well-being. They're going to hurt workers and families. Norwich and Ledyard, Connecticut found median family incomes fall by $20,000 a year after Foxwoods opened. According to studies at the University of Buffalo, every slot machine costs 1 job per year. A typical casino has 5,000 slot machines. Foxwood has 6,300. They're going to hurt public safety. They're going to increase petty crime, DUIs, prostitution in their areas. Please note, we are in a state that forbids happy hours. But our own casino law, allows casinos to distribute free or discounted drinks on the gambling floor except between 1 a.m. and 8 a.m. DUIs in Norwich, Connecticut have doubled since their casino opened. Once in our midst, I guarantee the casinos are going to argue hard and persistently for online casino gambling as well. It's a slippery slope. 3 states already slipped down that slope, and more are considering it. They're going to induce and aggravate a very serious mental health burden, gambling addiction, as you've heard. Some research shows a doubling of rates of gambling addiction within a 10-mile radius of a casino. They're going to drain revenue from Massachusetts' lottery. As much as 1/3 of the revenue are going to be lost. That's money denied to our cities and towns, which can spend their share of their lottery income any way they wish right now. Perhaps worst of all, they will, as you've heard, selectively harm people of lower income, and they'll perpetuate income inequality. Casinos target that demographic group specifically. They aim to woo low-wage earners, through sophisticated marketing, engineered payoff routines, they make poverty worse. Casinos hurt us all, but they will hurt the poor most. And we ought not to stand for that. So why, given this ominous and well-documented track record, would anyone wish casinos in our state? Well, generally, there are four main arguments made, and not one of them holds water. First, some say casinos are going to add needed jobs. Here's the reality. They also cost jobs. One job per slot machine for starters. They drive neighboring small businesses out of business. Casinos hire only a fraction of their employees from the neighboring community. In Springfield, for example, the MGM community agreement requires that only 35% of casino jobs go to Springfield residents. And despite empty promises, most of the jobs casinos create are marginal jobs. Nationally, a median annual salary for a casino worker of just about $20,000 a year, well below the federal poverty line for a family of four. Personal bankruptcies in states with casinos have gone up 20%, and property values have fallen 20%. Robberies and assaults double. Yeah, we need jobs in Massachusetts, urgently. But we need to focus on industries that grow our economy, that provide good jobs for our residents, and we should develop public policies that support those industries and job growth. Those policies are better transportation systems for transportation-based development, smart growth, strong education, strong vocational programs, higher minimum wages, relief from needless regulations for businesses, and single-payer health care, which is a job creator. Those policies, not casinos, those are roots to real economic growth. Second, some say that, well, people are going to gamble anyway. Why not keep the money in our state? Well, the answer is because that's not what really happens. The vast majority of casino visits are from people who live within 30 miles of the casino. And as for businesses going to other states, Massachusetts residents now spend about $93 million a year in the Connecticut casinos. Even if half of that revenue would actually stay in Massachusetts, which I seriously doubt, that's less than the money the casinos will drain from the lottery. And add on to that the huge social costs to communities that are associated with casinos. The math just doesn't add up. It's not revenue, it's loss. Third argument. Some say, well, we need the money for state government revenues. That's highly misleading. You've heard the Congressman's report. In the long run, casinos have had a negative impact on state revenues in nearly every state that has casino gambling. That's because a large portion of casino revenues is just diverted from existing revenue sources, like reduced lottery revenues, by as much as 30 or 40%. Gambling dollars also, they're dollars taken away from activities that are more economically productive and that generate more tax revenues. And casinos add to state costs. Who do you think pays for the additional social services, for public safety, for healthcare costs associated with gambling addiction? Who pays for DUIs and their consequences, for fraud, for money laundering, for prostitution and sex trafficking, for robberies and assaults and their remediation and bankruptcies? You bet. The same people we think get revenue. And fourth, some people say, well, the casino decision should be local if the state values local control. Well, we are a state. We value local control. But look at the costs and look at the damages from casinos. They're not local at all. A decision by any city or any town in the Commonwealth to house a casino is going to affect entire regions. And our state will be affected as a whole. There is very little that's really local about this issue at all. It's the wrong argument. Now, it would be better if we didn't have to repeal a law in order to protect our Commonwealth. We didn't have to unwind this, but we do. An error was made. I think we should admit it, we should correct it, and we should move on. I'd say again, we absolutely need to create jobs, so let's do that. Let's do it the right way. We'll need to work hard to find the revenues that we need for a progressive agenda through healthcare reform, through closing loopholes in our tax code, and moving toward fair taxation in which the wealthy contribute at a higher tax rate and those at lower levels of income at lower rate, but not by burdening the poor and people struggling in this economy. It is wrong. And look, in the end, I'm a pediatrician, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather, and in the final analysis, who is willing to be a governor who wants to look into the eyes of a child whose parent is a victim of gambling addiction, who lost a job, who lost their dignity, maybe lost their marriage, and say, sorry kid, we needed the money? Maybe Martha Coakley is. Maybe Steve Jobs